What's going on, everyone? This is your man Ant.
It's your boy KPGE.
And our special guest,
Clay Gustave. What's going on, everybody?
We trying to adjust it.
Yep.
We're not in our normal location. We came to him.
We came to me.
We came to him, Financial Advisor, here with us today at the Crypto Live. Everyone, how's y'all week, man? How's y'all week been going?
You want to start with me?
Yeah.
My week is chill. My week is cool. Low key. So this is an off season for me. I kind of doing some other things. Spending some time with my little person, and that's been it. I'm here talking to you guys. So what a way to end mines.
Okay. I mean, I celebrated my birthday yesterday.
Happy birthday.
Happy belated.
Thank you very much.
Old man right there in the building.
As long as you have life is good. You know what I'm saying?
So
Wow.
That's it right there. What about you, Mr. Ant?
Yeah.
My week been, kind of crazy. But crazy in a good way. Not like hectic, like, oh my gosh, I can't live my life. I need a drink or some weed after that. But some days, you need some.
Yeah,
But it's just been
like making
moves. Okay. And like I said, I like to start this KE3 news. No new updates. So people looking for the KE3s from us. We still haven't heard anything from Bitmain. We did receive confirmation that we are receiving it, but we never see confirmation that we received the shipping. So we never seen tracking numbers. So if you're seeing YouTubers out there saying that they have the K3, Bitmain gave it to them. We didn't give nothing, so us vendors didn't give it to them. So like I said, people be patient. Once we get more information, we're gonna be as transparent as possible with you guys and let you know any other updates as we get them passed along.
I see we have a subscriber here said, good afternoon, part of my beauty. Thank you for tuning into the stream. And everyone, if you guys could hit that like button, feel free to subscribe, turn the notification bell on to stay up to date with what we got going on, videos, lives, and all that good stuff. And
I'm wearing Brandon and stuff like this. I'm wearing Brandon.
Yeah, so all right, so we're going to get into it, which was some interesting stuff. It seems like it never ends, So according to Coindesk.com, Kraken is about to shut down because of some violations they had with the SEC. So the crypto exchange Kraken will immediately end its crypto staking as a service platform for U.S. customers and pay $30 million to settle with the SEC on charges of unregistered security offenses. It's like there's always something going on. First you had FTX, Genesis going bankrupt and all this different stuff going on. Now you have the SEC making big moves coming into it. Now, I don't know too much about the SEC. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to get a little bit more understanding and trying to, what kind of effect does the SEC have when it comes to things like these?
So I'm just going to jump right in.
Mm-hmm.
The SEC is the Securities and Exchange Commission. It's basically the police when it comes to the financial world. So they run everything. So when it comes to certifications, obviously all of the exchange issues, anything that has to do with the market, they're like the police. So they basically watch insider trading, things along that nature. I think what we're seeing is that crypto is outpacing the law. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
It's outpacing the law, and the law is trying to catch up, and everybody's trying to catch up with what's going on. And there's a lot of things that are happening, and the longer crypto is around, the more people are going to find ways to make more money. So they're just trying to catch up, and they're trying to slow down progress, right? They're trying to figure out their place. And I think that's what's happening. And all of these companies are getting caught in situations where, they see where the holes are, they see where they can maybe make a couple of $1 million, and they're going to push the envelope. And I think the $30 million that Kraken is, they got fined is just a slap on the wrist. I think it's a way of saying, hey, this is something, it's going to make the news, and then it's going to send shockwaves throughout the industry. And believe it or not, they're just going to go back to doing what they do and figure out other ways to make more money. Not that they're not making enough now.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, cracking on the SEC.
Well, the SEC technically shouldn't be making any money. So we look at it that way. But the SEC, they, like the police, they gotta have a say so somewhere. Like they have to show that they're doing something. So.
But they always in the news when it comes to crypto. That you did mention that crypto is outpacing them.
Yeah.
So I mean, over the summer, you cracked on Kim Kardashian for doing a crypto ad. I think people lost money. SEC hit with $1 million fine.
Mm-hmm.
Like you think they are hard on crypto because you don't understand it and it's outpacing them?
No, I think it's the other way around. I think crypto is out there like stocks. I mean, I don't want to say it's the same, but they're out there like stocks. And I think that example where the Kardashian is that when you have a situation where people are putting money or people are influencing a body of people, it's just illegal. So that's how they used to do it with stock. Is stock is no different, right? It's just that people are not up to speed on stock and the stock rules, but crypto's a new thing. So it's the new generation is on it. It's a new thing. So what's end up happening is that people like the Kardashians are getting hold of that information, and then they have their followers, and they know that she probably could have got paid to do it. It was okay, so the fine was, so what happens is that's what they do with insider trading in a way, right? So it's the same kind of deal, but it's with crypto. And I think that crypto, again, the crypto space is so new that people are trying things to make ways and make money without really, they weren't part of the stock world, so they don't really follow the rules there. So they think that some of the things that they could do in crypto, I guess, doesn't apply to stocks or whatever the case may be. But the point being is that people are just catching up. That people are just their eyes are opening to, or I don't want to say people. I think culturally, there's a generation of people that are getting into this investment space that are trying to drive the market and try to feel their way through and see who's could be more successful or not.
But you notice that in the crypto space, or definitely these platforms, I always say, some, not all, are Ponzi schemes. And I hate to say that because, like I said, FTX, Kraken, Genesis, always getting hit with fines. Like, the dudes in Canada, that I've got the name of the company. So, long story short, is that there's this group of crypto trading platform in Canada. The dude that started disappeared or died, but had a flash of everyone's money, and no one has access to it.
Right.
So if I put my tinfoil hat on, he faked his death, got plastic surgery somewhere in the country where you can't be extradited, living it up.
But still, how? But you can't like this. You can still track crypto once you use it.
You can still track crypto, but once in my opinion, once it's a vast amount, you're not gonna notice little dribbles.
If they're watching you, if the government or someone's watching you, you'll notice little dribbles.
So, and I feel like it wouldn't be just one wallet that he has everything on. Like, you know what I'm saying? There's the big target ones. Like, okay, if hypothetically, if I was to do something like this, I would have the target eyes. You got 500 million this one and 400 million this one. The one with a little 5 million on the side or a couple 100,000 here and there, you're not really watching that because the thing is, I realize, people are greedy, and that goes for most of everyone. I don't want the small case. Just like with like cops on the street, they don't really want the bottom feeders. I want the kingpin. So if they want the big wallet that has majority of everything, that's what they're aiming for. Now, if the guy slips up and messes up in some way, shape, or form where he identifies himself, then he gonna get got. But if I already had a contingency plan because I was already planning it. I don't know. This is a wild thought.
Get it out there.
Yes, I just feel like, because it's not like I got a whole bunch of Benjamins. You know what I'm saying? Crypto, I feel like, is a little bit more versatile. So yeah, you can't hide completely, but with everything going on nowadays with technology, like I have a friend of mine that deals in the VPNs and the backdoors to the firewalls and all that, all kinds of stuff that I know about because you watch movies, but I didn't know that people were like really, really out here doing stuff like that.
Mhm.
So it just like it makes me wonder because I can't disappear with a whole bunch of money because it's too easy to track.
I actually disagree with that.
Really?
I do. I think when you put yourself in a position where you have the money, so you kind of know what you're doing, right? Like, so if you don't have the money, what doors do you know that are open versus that aren't?
Okay,
So like if you're constantly changing, or your business model is constantly changing, or whatever you're doing is constantly changing, you're always going to find a loop. You're the one in the trenches.
Oh, so you have the blueprint. Basically,
well, not necessarily a blueprint, because a blueprint would mean that there was an idea set out right in front of you. I don't think 10 years ago crypto wasn't a thing.
Not really, no.
So here we are having a conversation about it, based on what, right? Like we're talking about people, we're talking about Ponzi schemes, and before I don't know if it started off that way, but here we are in a space where there's millions and billions of dollars generated. People are taking salaries in crypto. So you got to know that there's other avenues. I don't want to say it's because we don't have it, we don't know them, but essentially we don't have them, so we don't know them. And that's why the feds, SEC, all these people get involved, because it could get outrageous, right? Like there was a time where crypto was double what it is now. I mean, Bitcoin specifically, right?
Mhm.
And we always talk about Bitcoin because that's the most popular one. But at some point, it's not just going to be Bitcoin. It's going to be something bigger than Bitcoin, right? Because based on whatever's bubbling and percolating now. So it's always been the law of the land to try to see how much bigger I can get. My business alone, like I always got to find a new way to drum up more business, or new ways to not spend as much, or probably to bring in more than I put out. So if I'm constantly on that trend, if I'm on it day after day, something's going to have to give, some way, form, or fashion. And I think that's the beauty of what's happening with the crypto space. The more people get involved, the more the more avenues, the more lanes that happen. And then here we are sitting in this $1 million mansion talking about we can't afford blah, 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 but we're in a mansion, right? Like trying to make it work. So it's just a matter of figuring out our time, giving it time, being in this space long enough to figure it out.
That was very beautiful, because that opened my eyes enormously.
Yeah.
Wow. This is why he's here, man. Yo.
I mean, and part of the thing is, right, like you guys are in this space, and I'm sort of new to the crypto world, only because I'm super hesitant. And it was just a lot of fluff that came with it, like the NFTs and things along those lines. And it's hard to sift through where the value is. And when I realized it's like everything else, is the value is what you put on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And once you put the value on it and you establish that, then you got to move forward. But how do you keep it up? Because it's a new thing. NFTs are new. How do we who's it important to? It probably won't have its place now because we don't see it. But in 10 years, we're all going to look back and say,
damn,
yeah,
I should have invested in an NFT.
Mm-hmm.
We should have jumped on an NFT. And you should have just jumped on an NFT. Or it could be just like Game Boy, right? Like when Game Boy was out, everybody got one, and then all of a sudden things progressed to the point now we're doing Nintendo Switches.
Mm-hmm.
But if you still have your Game Boy, does it have value?
It more in a collector sense, it doesn't have the same value like everybody wanted it.
So I think, and this is just me, I think that's the same way. The way you just articulated that is the same way we look at NFTs, and potentially even, I don't want to say crypto because it's an investment vehicle, but that's kind of how I see it.
So you mentioned as an investment vehicle, as crypto, and the fluff that's in it. So when I first heard of crypto, it was Bitcoin. It's like 2013. People would say, "Oh, this is the new wave."
Mm-hmm.
I'm used to old money. Yeah, I'm used to that. Like, this is BS. It's not going to last that long. Whatever. Yeah, people ask to invest. Then, like I said, how as a new investor, how do you get through the fluff? Are you looking at it like I say, if you had a retail store and you want some retros and from Nike, Nike gonna give you some BS before you get the retro. It's like, yo, Jordan 11s come out, but you gotta take these Jordan 32.
That's from a merchandising standpoint, right?
Mhm.
So with I think as a new investor, you got to look at it differently, right? What are you investing in, and why are you doing it?
Mhm.
I think people have this conversation about long-term investment versus short-term investment when it comes to crypto, and I don't. I mean, I don't understand how people are making that assumption based on the fact that it hasn't been around long enough
Mhm.
to kind of have some kind of outlook. But I do believe that there is some short-term benefits because of the volatility of the market.
Mhm.
I just don't see it for long-term, and that's kind of why I got into it, right? Just to understand what it is.
Okay. So you said you did that in short term because you're right. It's so volatile. Overnight, it could jump up 40%.
Right.
And you made your money back. You
Mhm.
become a millionaire just like that.
Mm-hmm.
So are you think people are using their stock lenses like based on short term and long term?
Well, that's all we have, right? Like, what else is there to make that determination? I mean,
You got that.
crypto's a new space. It's new, I guess. It's a new currency, and people are trying to figure out how does it work, where does it come from, what is it about. So, being a new investor, I think it's a bit of a challenge to kind of figure out what crypto is. There are people who've been around in the financial world for ages that still can't figure it out. So, what other ways there to look at money? But unless you look at it from the foundational standpoint, we have cash, right? Like stocks and cryptos being traded. So if it's being traded like our stocks are and our cash is, so we kind of have to. I don't want to say we have to, but what are the other ways people invest in stock? Like if we're talking about Nike, why would us, either one of us, invest in Nike? Like what's the benefit for us? Because we like the product, we know what it does for our community, we know that it gains value, or it's been around for a while, we know that and if it goes down, that's the first thing we are gonna know.
Yeah.
Right. So if something happens with Nike, we're gonna know about it. So why not invest in that? The challenge is when you talk about BT miners, what is it? Right? Like, what is BT miners? Like, yeah, you're a mining house, but what are you mining? And how do you bring people in? What's attractive to me as a person who doesn't know anything about crypto outside of the fact that I know you two guys, right? Like, it's relational investing, right? Like now you got to get a group of people together and say, hey, this is what we're going to do. I think, I mean, I would assume, because I just don't know what the crypto space is. And so when we talk about why people aren't investing in crypto or, understanding the mining, is because everything is secret. Everything is a secret, right? Like,
oh man.
So how do we turn that into regular language? Like if I tell you, again, using the Nike comparison, and we're just three guys sitting here talking about crypto, right? But if I tell you about Nike, you're like, yes, yes, yes. And if I tell you, would you rather get a pair of Jordan 1s or $120 stock of Nike, because Nike's at 109, I think it's at 119. What would you go for?
I would stop.
Yeah.
But more of us have Jordan 1s, right? Yeah. Because we believe it's easier to go get.
Comfortable shoe.
Yep.
And it costs $120.
It costs actually more than that, right? Because Jordan 1s are like, no, they start off at 160, now 170.
You talk about mids or highs?
Highs.
All right.
But the point is that's what's driving the market. So if you look at it that way, and then you turn around and say, I want to get into crypto, and like I don't know where to begin. I don't understand Ethereum. I don't understand, I don't understand why Dogecoin is 8 cents, but then Bitcoin is $20,000. So how do you
engage that? So
that's why when you start talking about investment and the way people use the lens, it's just like, well, what do we have to work with? And this is not something that requires. I personally don't believe that you can advertise for it. It literally has to be your relational capital, right? Like 15 people, 15 people. I work at this place, this is BT miners. This is what we're doing. If you got, obviously I can't tell you how to bring people in, but the point is I think that's why there's been a little bit of a challenge.
No, you're right.
You got to take it. See, I can't just respond after that because you just drop in knowledge. So I gotta take it in real quick because it's just okay. You know what I'm saying? That makes a tremendous amount of sense because what that reminds me of is kind of like Warren Buffett. Like I've been paying a lot of attention to Warren Buffett because he got most of his wealth in his later years, and a lot of things he said, like for example, like he'll go sit somewhere and he'll see how many people are walking with Nike, like how many people pass by that are wearing Nike versus how many people are walking by that are wearing Adidas versus how many people are walking by that's wearing Reebok. And that's how he makes his investments. And then he said he has no problem asking people like,
right.
Why do you like Nike? You know what I'm saying? So it's just like everything is tying into each other.
It's basically market research. That's what they call it. It's market research.
So you're doing primitive marketing research,
right? So when people are looking up stocks, you can get a quarterly report. You can get based on what they did last quarter or last year or the last 5 years, and why the market goes one way versus another. Crypto, the volatility is so out there, like you just can't. And so how do you get people to invest just freely, knowing that we're also dealing with issues in the market, and not even the market, just our community, and we're suffering with money, people are needing jobs, and there's no real turnout.
So we got a question from Corey Tate.
He says that his advice to anyone who wants to invest in cryptocurrency is to first learn decentralized finance.
Right.
Okay, so decentralized finance.
Right. So I'm not going to speak for your.
No, he asked the question.
Right. Could you repeat the question if you want? I can't.
My advice to anyone who wants to invest in cryptocurrency is to first learn decentralized finance.
Right. That's a big deal. I think there are courses on that. That's advanced learning. That's advanced. Even though he's right, decentralized, because money is just is centralized. It's just learning about decentralized, really taking the authority figures away from money and letting it do its own thing. It's like here I go using my regular terms, but it's like the invisible hand. They just want you not to touch the money. Let's let the money do what it's supposed to do within the market. Obviously there's a whole lot more to it. And your guest, the person that asked the question is pretty good. That was a good statement. I agree with it.
So learn about so it's a visible hand. You don't want to touch the money. I noticed that some people want to pick and choose when you want someone to come into the industry or not. So we don't want you to touch the money, but we do need some regulation here and there. So they say, okay, whatever government power want to come in, we'll crack the door for you. Don't barge in. Don't touch my sugar honey iced tea. Just put some little regulations because I don't want to get my money taken, but don't f up try to tax me and stuff like that.
Right. So we're always talking about making money. We're always talking about making money. But the bottom line is when you invest, there's a probability that you're going to lose money. And if you're losing money, I guess it goes hand in hand. Depending on how you invest, right? But I can't speak to those efforts. I think that's a personal thing, right? If you're talking about bringing people in or opening a door, if you got money, I think you want it's a flow, right? Like everybody wants to make money. That's all I can offer on that, really.
Okay, so you notice again, like I said, I always say nobody want to get left with the bag. Like nobody want left with the check. If everybody's making money, I don't want to be the last one.
Not making money or making money?
Not making money. So when it goes belly up, let's say, for example, I would say that if FTX, everybody's making money with FTX. When you try to get into it, you belly up, you left with the check. You left with that.
Right.
And I always say nobody want to be left with that check.
That's true.
So the thing is that I want to invest. We do see this. It's been, like I said, been around for 10 years. Crypto been around for 10 years. How can the massive, maybe the massive, let's say 16% of the population in the United States invest in crypto? Just 16. is how can we get the rest of America to say, okay, this is the next wave.
Decentralized. People got to buy into the decentralized banking. People have to buy into it. And I think it's way too much. Truthfully, I don't know how you get people involved. I think it's one of those things where it has to make sense for everybody, right? Like, I don't think crypto has a pitch. Like, if I pull out a dollar bill and I say, "In God we trust," and I go take it to a store, they know what to do with it, right?
The pitch is decentralized. That's people. That's the first people pitch is decentralized money.
Right. But then how does it work with people who don't have money? How does it work for people who are making minimum wage? How does it work for people who don't have that generational that wealth that's handed down, where they have to come up and find ways to make money? Where people that don't have laptops, their households are left out. So how does that make sense? To
Do you try to say, does it become like a hierarchy thing? So it becomes like
it could be, if you want to cut everything up right now and say everybody switch.
So pretty much only the elite of the elite could do this. Like someone that, like you're right, that don't have a laptop that makes minimum wage,
right?
Can't afford it. You want to get it, but they can't afford it.
Nope.
So I see what you're saying. So I'm understanding now. The reason why I understand now is because of Cash App. Because whenever I make purchases with my Cash App card, they have the round up thing to where whatever. If I make a purchase for something that's $5.75, it takes the 25 cents and round it up and invest it into Bitcoin, right? Other than that, before that, now also PayPal has the option to. So I guess what you're saying, because before, like when I was in the military, a few of my friends, they were talking about Bitcoin. They wanted to get into Bitcoin. It was dirt cheap at that time, and I'm like, what are you talking about, bro? Like, yo, now those same friends, loaded, and in my mind, I always beat myself up to say, oh, I shoulda, coulda, woulda. You know what I'm saying? I should have had the insight of this, blah, blah, blah. But there was no way I could.
Yeah, you didn't have
so it's like I feel like now some people might do it because maybe you have an extra. It's a big boy game, especially with certain cryptocurrency like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and stuff like that. You got to have X amount of dollars, and I feel like a couple lives ago we were talking about Dogecoin. It had such a rage because I could get some Dogecoin. What is it right now? Like around
8 cents.
Around 8 cents.
9 cents. Today.
So I had a friend that went to church in high school with. He got it from when it was extremely low. Waited till like right before the peak, sold it, made a whole bunch of money. I got it at a certain point, and then I just got rid of it because I'm just like, okay, I got paranoid. It's too good to be true. I got rid of it. You know what I'm saying? And it's like you're trusting yourself or your gut instinct at that point. There's no really like, okay, what to do. You know what I'm saying? I know at certain times, like during certain events, like, okay, when the Ringling was still a thing, right? The Ringling Brothers service, when they were a thing, I knew that I could get my vendor license and head to Nassau Coliseum by where I'm from. And for that whole time that they're there, I'm gonna make some bread because everybody's gonna come around. They wanna buy the little cotton candy and stuff like that, whatever. So I know when to say invest, but with crypto, it's kind of hard to find out when to invest.
Right. So I think with just this whole example that you use is a perfect answer to Ant's question. I think Ant asked, it's about being a sophisticated investor and figuring out where your space is, right? So when we talk about people who are disenfranchised or not even to make them equal, but people just don't have money, right? Like aren't used to investing. Like if you're not used to investing, you can't have a mindset. And what comes with that mindset is being around people who have the mindset, who are educated or who have history of doing it, or being around the right people. I mean, historically, we can go into the fact, cultures and Black people versus white and the history of the United States and money, but the point is there are people with no money, right? And people who don't know how to make decisions about their money and investment, right? Like yeah, I'll buy a pair of sneakers. I'm saying that they're hot and they're probably worth a lot of money, but who am I sell it to? Or do I know who to sell it to? The crypto space is, how do you get involved? How do you do what you're supposed to do?
Right. I mean, Corey Tate, Esquire said very true. We have one from Phoenix, one of our loyal followers.
Yeah.
He have a question. He said he have a tax question. He said, I lost 10K last year. Woo! I know that don't feel good. And crypto, and about 20K the year before. My question is, what is the max you can write off a year and can lose, and that can be lose to be carried over to the next year? My question, I'm gonna read that. My question is, what is the max you can write off a year, and can that loss be carried over to the next year?
I wouldn't know the answer to that. I'm not a tax person. I think you have to speak to tax people, right? That's the other thing when it comes to investing, right? 10 grand and 20 grand is it's a lot of money for you to be asking random people, right? Like you should have some sort of investment team. You should have an accountant. You should have some just people that you can actually afford to pay to manage your money, right? Like those are the people that should be able to answer you properly. And for the sake of liability, I think for you guys as well, it wouldn't make sense for me to answer that question as well.
Yeah. So with Phoenix, I mean, you lost 30 racks. Like you can talk to
a financial consultant, a tax expert,
maybe more of a tax expert,
and an accountant. You need all three, at least constantly making sure that you're in touch with these type of people, especially if it's that much money that you're putting out there, losing versus not. I mean, 10 grand means that you can afford it.
He said, my loss is why I'm starting mining this year.
Congratulations. Congratulations. It's a big deal, right?
Yeah.
It's a big deal. Congratulations.
So you went assuming Phoenix went from buying.
Oh, okay.
With the buying crypto, when the market was
really good.
The market was low last year. Everyone lost money last year.
Well, you know what? I think what's a little unfair to the crypto space in general. I mean, and I'm going to use Bitcoin because we don't, they're the popular ones. They're driving the market, right? Even though they taking a hit, they're still at 22 grand, right? Like they didn't come from nowhere. I mean, they came from nowhere to be at 22 grand. Yeah, some people lost a lot of money because it was up at 50 or 52 at one point. 68, right? Yeah. But 22 is not bad. Like, right? Like if you came in at even if you went in at $500, like when it was at 500, or even when it was at 1,000, 10,000, right? Like it's still a little bit of a come up. So that's why I feel like crypto space is getting a bad rap, and I think it's important that people like you guys out there spreading the word. You know what I mean? We need people out there that look like you, that are you, that walk and talk like you, to start spreading the word to our people and just letting people know, like, hey, you can do this, and this is how easy it is. But outside of that, having to figure it out, looking stuff up online, everything's a secret. I mean, I'm currently in a mining house now, and there are issues going out within the industry, and you just don't know how to manage it. They are doing the best they can, but if you understand what's being said, you understand that they're being heavily regulated. They lost all their money, and they're trying to figure out ways to recoup it without setting off like the biggest, hey, this company is doing, So, and that's why I say, everything's a secret when it comes to mining. People don't understand.
So you say you're part of a mining house. So pretty much you don't see a miner. Nope. We mine for you.
Yep. All I see is my return every week.
How are you paying? So are you paying for Are you paying money for electricity? Are you paying for electricity, or are you paying a down fee?
I put up my money and let them do the work, and then I get my turnaround. I get my return every week.
So what made you say you want to do a mining farm instead of putting one of mine in your basement or your garage?
You got to figure it out first, right? Like I want to know I have questions, and the only way you could get your questions answered is if you speak to professionals, and the only way you do that is if you're part of a team. I don't know. It'd be kind of uncool and unfair to judge something that I'm not a part of. right? So let's become a part of it and let's make it work.
Lisa, hold on. Corey Tate, Esquire said, miner is the perfect utility to onboard novice cryptocurrency investors due to the low barrier of entry.
And there you have it.
Mhm.
There you have it. And it requires, you see how that was explained to me? That was explained?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how that comes across to anybody else, but it makes sense to me.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? Like that makes sense.
Pretty much it's like taking that statement and break it down to its lowest form so it can be easily digested.
Yes. And it just requires just a little bit, right? Like, and not enough of us are talking to the people on Grand Street about.
Oh, yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So if you're not in. So Grand Street is this place in Albany, but if we're not out there, making this information easy to digest, it's just not going to come across. It's just not going to come across properly. I don't think.
Yeah, but I've always been a fan. You know me. I've always been a fan of the medicine and candy.
Mm-hmm.
So I love to make things entertaining, but also digestible. You learn from it as well.
It's true. It's true.
So it can easily digest for people that may not know. They may say, "How I do I get into crypto? What is crypto?
Right.
Like what's the difference between a Bitcoin and Ethereum?" And like I said, those is questions that is asked every day. And you answer the question, you think you bring it down to the simplest form, but you still feel like you're losing people.
Well, of course, there's the most important component of this all that we're losing is the fact that it's an investment.
Yes.
Right. Like, regardless of what we know about it, people have to spend their money. They have to make sure the money stays there. They have to probably also have to add more money or sit around and let it work. Mm-hmm. Investment is not easy itself by itself. So then you add the component of crypto, like that whole dynamic becomes further and further away, right? Like, I was talking to one of my best buddies and I was explaining to him how he was asking me about buying a gift for his nephew. And I said, I just buy stock certificates for my son. He's, since he was 3, his first 3 shares of something, right? So went to 3 companies and bought 3 shares from 3 different companies and just got the certificates and threw them on the wall, right? Just have them printed out and throw them on the wall. Mm-hmm. And he didn't understand what that meant. And I didn't realize it until after, he asked me again and he didn't know how to go about it. And I realized like there's this whole process of people having to reach out to clearinghouses, reach out to all of these people to get all of this stuff done. And then they start talking over them about the types of investments and selling them products and how long and how much and what you got to go through and waiting periods. Mm-hmm. That stuff is not attractive to people who are looking for turnarounds, right? Quick turnaround. So that's the challenges we're looking at. And so when you add the crypto information on top of it, it just becomes one big brick on top of another brick.
Yeah. How fast I get my return on investment. Right. So, like you said, my quick turnaround, you're right. So, if I put in $200, I can afford to lose $200, right? I put $200 into crypto. We don't know because of the overnight or a few hours, crypto can go up and down. Mm-hmm. Crypto can go up 40% in 2 hours.
The volatility is crazy. Yeah.
Or we can wake up, or 2 hours later, it could be 0. Mm-hmm. So that dynamic, because of the volatility of the industry, that making those types of investment, do that sway people away? Like, I don't want to touch crypto whatsoever.
So when you're talking about people, let's be clear about who the people we're talking about, right? Like,
individuals.
Right. No, and let's be clear, because there are people who can afford to invest, yes. Right? So even if we're looking at Ethereum, right? Ethereum is at $1,600 today, I think, $1,600 a share. If you look at who's spending $1,600 to put into an investment vehicle that could potentially lose? Let's say even if it loses $500, what do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, there's people that lost into Cadena at its peak.
Right. So how do you? So when you talk about, that's why when I asked, when you say about investors, like who's going to put up $1,500 a share? Yeah,
it's somebody that's retired, got some extra money put away.
I don't think it's retired. There's people like us that make money.
I know. I'm saying but it's just the people that's a good point. But if you're at a point where you're comfortable, you have money, your house is paid off and everything like that, and you got a steady income coming in, you might be able to throw some here. The the people that like make 6 figures and up
Mhm.
annually and stuff like that, they might be able to do it.
Again, and I don't mean to cut you off, but
No problem.
I think what we get caught up, what I'm finding is we get caught up in how much money a person makes. There are people that can make 30 grand that can invest, based on whatever. I just think that you have to have the mindset, you have to have the education or the will to want to do it. Because even when it comes to stocks, right, there was this, even in stocks now, like there are people who invest or don't invest. There are people who talk about investing all day and don't do a thing. Right, like, and we're not even talking about the crypto space. We're talking about from AT&T to even buying cannabis stock, right? Like, or even penny stock, right? Like, you can go that far, but people just don't know. They don't have the foresight, the understanding, the education, or just the resources that help them push them in that direction. So, let's commend you two guys for doing the work that you're doing right now, right? Because it's a big deal. But we just got to. There's so much more into. I personally believe that there's more to investing than just trying to break down the whole crypto space. You also got to get into the fact that people have to know and feel comfortable about investing. So anybody that's investing in crypto, mostly, well, I can't say mostly because I don't have the numbers, but I can only imagine the people that are investing in crypto are the people that are investing in stock because they get the volatility, they understand, placement and things that just make sense when it comes to investing.
Wow. Wow. No, that's real, and that's what's needed because I'm learning right now. So I see what you mean because I usually only throw money into any stock or Bitcoin or anything like that, or whatever, because everybody else is doing it. I don't never, this looks good. I'll do my research or understand the process of doing it. So let me do it. I only do it. My boy would call me like, yo, I bought some Dogecoin. Yo, buy some too. I'm like, all right, okay, but I don't know what I'm doing. So this is opened my mind a lot more because it's a learning process for me as well as I'm sure some people watching. It goes a long way. That's very intriguing, like extremely intriguing.
And I like the fact that Dogecoin is the example because I would do the same thing for people that I know that are not into investing and I'm trying to get them in. Like, when all of these investment platforms came about and you were getting free stocks, what I'd do is I'd use those investment platforms as a way to get my friends into investing, right? So I'd help them set up their whole process, help them set up, we all get free stock. And I would use that as an example. Like, you don't have to buy a whole bunch of stock that you're not comfortable with. Dogecoin is 8 cents today, or it's almost 8 to 9 cents. It fluctuated between yesterday and today. It's the best way to go, right? Like if you buy 100 shares of Dogecoin, it's 80 cents. Let's say you spend $1, right, on Dogecoin. If you spend $1 on Dogecoin, that's
12 shares.
No, $1, you're getting what? 8 cents. Hello? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So the point is, you're still getting something out of it. You're still getting something, and you're still learning how it goes up and down. You're seeing the way the market works, but it's only 8 cents.
So it's not going to hurt you as much as put a 1,600 into Ethereum.
Right. Like, so, all the people that spend money on, let's look at it from a small perspective. People are going to hate me for this, but the cannabis industry, right? So if you look at the way you buy an ounce of cannabis, you're spending $20, right? Or you buy a wrap, or you got to get something to smoke it in. That money could go to Doja, period. That one night or that one blunt that you could afford to spend money on, that could go to Doja, and then you watch your money grow. It's small, but it's growing. It's doing more than what that blunt would do. And I think that's kind of how we got to start to get people going.
Yeah, I understand. I did the same thing 2021. In
Right.
2021, when Doge was at its lowest.
6, yep.
And I bought into it, but I understood stocks.
Right.
So when it went up, but somebody, my stomach said, "Yo, I think this shit's gonna peak right here. You'll get out."
Really?
And I got out. I mean, I doubled my money.
Right.
And I just got out. Now it's back down. I think the concept is that, you losing your money. After, like you said, you gotta invest. It's getting people that don't understand investing. To get them into when you lose the money in investment. That hurts.
Yeah.
No matter how much it is. Money loss is money loss. So how can we convince like, hey, yo, it's going to be a downtime. Like the money you put in is going to drop. Do you tell them like?
Yes.
I mean, I'm not going to get no financial advice. Let me be on the safe side. This is not financial advice. Do you treat it like a stock? They say, okay, you do buy low, get out high.
Yeah, what's the point?
No, some people hold on.
Right, but you're still buying low.
Yeah.
Right. So those are investment strategies, right? So it's the long term, there's buy low, long term, buy low, short term. You know, like there's all of these things, right? There are people who can buy and who short sell, who make money on the opposite end.
Is selling too soon a bad thing?
It depends on what you're in it for.
Okay.
It's not about like what works for me might not work for you. So I could say yes. You know, I'm a day trader. I trade in a day. All my stocks are in and out in a day. But I still want to keep those stocks, you know, for the next month or next year because I know what they do. Or sometimes I just know that, you know, 420 is coming up, and I'm just gonna right around that time of 420, all the cannabis stocks are gonna go up. So I'm gonna buy right, you know, in that 420 time frame, and I get what I can when I see the peak because over the year, you know, they're pretty much flat.
Flat, yeah.
Right. So, but around that 420 area time, just a little, right? So if you're in it for that, or if you're in it just for that time frame, or if you just want to make a couple of dollars, so that's kind of that's an example, right? Like I mean, people do their investment for all different reasons.
Yeah, I kind of feel like I played myself a little bit because when Dogecoin came out, like, my same friend, he was like, "Yo, just buy it, bro. It's just moving." You know what I'm saying? I bought it, I think, at like 12 cents or something like that. But I sold it probably at 20 something. And I'm
you got it early, yeah.
I made money, but then when I look at everybody else, I'm like, they held for what did it go to 80 cents or something like that?
It went up. It goes up and down. I think it went up to $1.
No, it never reached $1.
No,
yeah, I think it went up. Yeah, I think it went up to 80 something cents, and my boy sold at 70 something cents.
How much he put in though?
He put a lot in. A lot in.
Versus how much you put in?
I put $300-400 in. It wasn't too much. And I'm like, I still made it. I still got decent money back, right? But I'm like, did I do the wrong thing in selling too soon? Or it doesn't matter as long as I make more than what I put in.
Yeah. So obviously you put in your money to make money, but I think you also need, and that's where the consultations come in, why it's important to have people to explain to you what investment and investing is about. And that's where it becomes hard for investors, right? New investors. You have to have somebody to kind of coach you into why, because that's a normal feeling, right? Like I don't know if you've ever gone to the racetracks or anything, you're gambling, you're like, should I? You made more money than you put out. It's a matter of, do you want to continue? You know what I mean? Is it worth it? I mean, obviously now you have a relationship with this one company. Is it worth continuing to you? And how do you figure that out? You do the investment, or you just let it go, or you do some research, you just let it go, or you pass the word to someone else, or you just let it go. But the point is, it has to work for you. That's just the way I've learned.
So we do have a question. Right to you. You know me, Phoenix. Does Clay have any investments in crypto?
I do.
Ooh.
I do.
Secret? What's the crypto you invest
I wouldn't tell. I just, because I'm also not comfortable with my choice, and I can't say that I know enough. I'm being led by someone, just like, but I wouldn't do it. I'm doing it because I want to learn. I want to learn. So it's not something that I'm comfortable with. I can say this. So the things that I bought on my own, I do have a Doja. I have Doja. Who else? I have one of the Ethereums and something else. But it's very small, like a small introductory, only because, again, I'm trying to learn. And I've been asking questions for a very long time. And I've been getting the same answers, but I need more. So I'm trying to take it a different way.
You know me, Phoenix said, he's like, man, I had almost 50K in profit in Dogecoin and didn't pull out. So foolish, man. You could have bet on the goddamn Knicks, dog. You want to put something down the toilet like this.
It's not money going down the toilet. Believe it or not, like So the way I look at it is, it's just like everything else, right? So if you look at how even with Facebook, when Facebook became when we went public, it started at $50.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
right, specifically at $50. And I remember everybody being like, "How are they making money?" I specifically asked, "How is Facebook going to make money?" Here we are, all these years later, right? So Dojas could be the same thing. If they could stand the test of time for a little bit, they're guaranteed to turn around. That's just been the way the market. That's market research, right? 13% every year growth. Crypto hasn't been able to quantify their numbers yet, but
yeah,
we're going to get there.
I like how you mentioned Facebook. People always ask how Facebook make money. Facebook makes money off business, selling ads, and that's it.
And selling information too, right?
Oh,
Selling
yeah.
people's information. So
that's why when you download, no, it's a literal fact though. That's why when you download,
hey, we don't know no more. You don't know losses. You don't know.
Because when you go to download the app, whether it's Facebook Messenger, Meta Creators, whatever you download, it pops up. Okay, you agree to give us access to this, that, blah, 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 and we're going to use this for whatever purposes. What's the cookies and this, blah, blah, blah. Most of us, when we download the app, we download okay, but nobody really reads what we're giving access to, your location, and that's why if I go to my browser and I search eggs and bacon, all of a sudden I go on Facebook and I just see all kinds of eggs and bacon sandwiches.
That's IP tracking.
It's IP tracking, but it dives more because now you allow them to take. So if I text somebody about it, if I go on my web browser, whatever the case may be, when I go to Facebook, Instagram, whatever, it still pops up. IP tracking has a certain limit, but when you download an app to your phone or some kind of technological device, and you give them permissions to do whatever, you give them permission to do whatever.
Yeah, so track your IP, your whereabouts, your digital footprint.
It's just like sometimes I just be talking about it. I don't search anything.
Oh, you're the listening device. You're listening.
Listen, it's crazy. Like I just talk about it. I feel like sometimes I think it. It just comes up. So it's. Oh man.
I think again, I'm going to always. I'm going to revert to just even the conversation we're having about Facebook. You see the information that you know about Facebook, just the fact that you use it. This is a perfect example. Like you don't have any stock in Facebook, but you know how to use it. You know what the algorithms do. You know how it works, and you're a perfect example of a person that should be investing in something that you're familiar with. But you know the ins and outs, but you're not even like encouraged to kind of put yourself in a position to know, like, is this company a bad company? You know, it's just going to get better because where it came from. You obviously know the history, right? And you've been around on this planet as long as Facebook has been around. Even before Facebook was around, you see what it was like when it started, and you know what it's like now. You mean to tell me you wouldn't have invested in Facebook?
Yeah, I definitely would have.
And you mean to tell me that knowing that what you know about Facebook now and all of those years moving forward, you don't think that it's a profitable company?
It definitely is a profitable company.
And then here you are talking about it and talking about investments, but you have no investment in a company that you're actually super familiar with. And even if something is to go wrong with Facebook, like whatever could go wrong, they have an AI situation that doesn't work out, stock is going to take a hit for a little bit, but they're still working on AI. They still have an imprint in our culture. That means it's still going to they're still going to grow. As soon as something bad happens or it's going to shut down, who do you think is going to hear about it?
Everybody.
Specifically you, because you're invested and you use it. That's how you bring people in. So if I'm talking about BT miners, again, not to, I just know YouTube, and I know the name. I don't know how it works. I don't know what's behind it. I don't know the history. I don't know if you have any positive money, if you're making any money. I don't know if you're losing money. All I know is that stick around shortly, something's going to come your way. Those are the updates. Those are the updates, right? Like, what can I read anything about BT miners?
Yeah, I agree.
So that connection.
Yeah, and that's where we are.
But you know, connection. I know we almost to an hour.
You what?
I said we almost to an hour.
Yeah.
Hour.
Oh, okay.
Almost an hour.
Okay, good. Look at us. Look at
it
wow, it flew by.
So
And I hope I just didn't mind.
No, definitely not.
Come on, man, that's what we're here for.
Gotcha.
So I think, but when it comes to definitely comes like BT-miners and other vendors, you use the same strategy to build brand awareness, so you get aware, you become aware of us and who we are.
I think y'all are doing it the same way though.
We all do. Yeah.
Right, like so, like what makes you stand out? Because if you're doing the same thing,
We all selling the same thing. What makes us special from
outside of the relational capital that I have? The relational capital is this right here, just the conversation. That would be so. Instead of going to the mining house that I use, let's say I go to your mining house and I want to be a part of your mining house. Not that I can't do it, but I already know what I got myself into.
Yeah.
So why would I go to another mining house to do something else, like to do more investing or to add to the layers of clandestine, whatever things that y'all are doing? It's really kind of cryptic. Crypto is cryptic.
So this is the last question. That we all live in New York. Let's say we made money outside of New York, right? Is that money? It's not a tax question. So when it's time to do the taxes, right? Do we claim it as income for the state of New York? Because like I said, we're in New York, or we claim it as money coming in from that different state.
I think I'm not.
We're not, like I said, people not giving no advice.
No, because I'm not an expert. I could just use based on my experience, and I'm not even going to talk about my investment experience. I'm going to talk about just living in New York, and then working in other states, right? So if you work in another state, you got to file taxes. You have state taxes that you file in New York, but you also have to file state taxes in the other state because they collected taxes. They collected taxes on the money that you've earned. So if you're earning money out of state, I would hope that you would go to the people in that state and pay their taxes because they generated
income in that state.
Okay.
That's baseline. I'm sure there are nuances to everything, but that's just how I see it.
All right, everyone, this has been the Crypto Fix. I'm your man Ant.
I'm your boy KPGE.
My special guest Clay, Financial Advisor, Visible Hands Management. Right? I said that right? Visible Hands Asset Management.
Yep.
I'm not trying to plug them, right? But if you want Clay to come back,
please
let us know.
Yeah, let us know.
That's a fact.
Like I said, we'll definitely bring them back. We have more deep conversations like this.
Because I learned a lot. We supposed to have this for the subscribers, but
that's important, right? That's the key.
I learned a lot. Yes.
Right? That's the key. That's what this is about. Thanks for having me, gentlemen. Again, sorry that you couldn't do it at the office.
It's okay, man.
But I appreciate you coming out. And thanks for having me again.
All right, everyone. We are out.